Go.
This is Language Loss by Sofia Terkildsen.
And Ava Pollock. What is language loss? Language loss is when a person loses their first native language when learning a second language. This is shown to be particularly common with English language learners learning English. This phenomenon can also be called subtractive bilingualism, and it can happen when learning a second language. Some of the reasons why language loss happens is because of an emphasis on assimilation, or basically being a part of the moved in culture. When the emphasis on assimilation is high, it can result in children losing fluency in their native language, or it can also result in them forgetting it altogether.
Significance for English learners. There is a lot of significance of this issue for EL students. First, there is cultural identity. To ML students, losing a language can feel like losing a part of their cultural identity. They will lose the part of them that makes them who they are. Another significance is communication barriers. Losing their language not only creates a communication barrier for the student, but it also creates a barrier for their families as well. Not being able to speak the native language can make it difficult for students and families to communicate with those around them. Language loss can lead to bias in the curriculum by misrepresenting the human language and culture. Lastly, there's emotional well being. Language plays a major role in expressing emotions. Losing the language can make it difficult for the students to express their emotions, which and then can put a negative impact on the toll of their mental health.
Our basically our proposition that impacted language loss is English for the Children Initiative and Proposition 203. We actually have two. English for the Children Initiative, or also known as Proposition 227, was proposed by software millionaire Ron Unz in June of 1998 in California. This proposition would forbid the use of instruction in the home language, so this meant that all instruction in the classroom needed to be in English. It was voted into law with a 61% favorable vote. 4 years after it passed, it was found that only 42% of the emergent bilinguals in that time in that area became proficient in English, which demonstrated that it was ineffective. In Arizona, UNS passed yet another proposition that banned bilingual education in 2000, which passed with a 63% favorable vote. And this proposition limited education for bilingual students to a single year exclusively English program that had instruction in English only. While these propositions are no more, this had an impact on language loss in that time and in the future.
Connection to field experience. Both our field experience placements involve students taking the access test, where it will be determined if they still need to be in the ESL program. They are forced to read everything in English, write everything in English, and speak in English. In a sense, this test can perpetrate a degree of language loss. In my field experience, all the assignments are in English. There are no assignments in the student's native language.
In my field experience placement, all the assignments are also done in English, but this may also be because I am working with I worked with eighth graders and they are further down the language learning road.
Our plan. Our plan is to create a school environment that is inclusive of every language, such as translations, resources, and means of expression in the classroom. As we research language loss, we learned the impact that had on EB students in the education system. Our plan is to put a stop to this. Would also be cultural sensitivity training for teachers to help them gain respect for the cultural and language of each of the students in their classroom.
How will we implement this? Well, the teacher will teach more culturally responsive lessons where the students' home languages will be celebrated. This could look like a little about me project, or this could be even centering novel studies on novels from that country. The teacher will also utilize visual aids and general scaffolding in order to ensure that English is not exclusively being relied on. And finally, the teacher will take culturally sensitive courses in order to gain a better understanding about the importance of language in the classroom. The students will speak their home language freely in the classroom in order to prevent language loss, and they will also participate in projects and other assignments related to their home language and culture. The administration will be the ones including these culturally sensitive courses and teacher training. Administration will also work to accommodate families who speak another language other than English. For example, they can send out translations in to emails or send out resources for families that don't speak English. And the parents will communicate their needs to the teacher in the school. The parents will also communicate with the teacher in order to come up with ways for the home language to be preserved while the student learns English.
And for our questions, why do you think there's such a heavy emphasis on English in so many classrooms? Second, in what ways can language loss impact the student's life in the classroom, at home, or with friends? And third, how do you think we can prevent language loss in the classroom?
And these are our resources. Thank you for listening.